You are now listening to the Q&E Podcast.
Is this what you want? Huh? Is this what you want? Well, come and get it, goddammit!
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Q&E Podcast, and you're here with your boy Q Hicks right now. And I got Edgar on the other line. Edgar, tell the people what's good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Q&E Podcast. Today, we are reviewing The Batman. This time is Robert Pattinson playing this Batman character. Matt Reeves directed this film. If you don't know who Matt Reeves is, he did the Cloverfield series. He did 2 out of the 3 Planet of the Apes series that we got a couple of years ago throughout the 2010s. So definitely a strong track record with Matt Reeves, and I feel he did a phenomenal job with this movie. So we're going to go ahead and dive into our best parts about the movie, parts we didn't like, what to look forward to with this Batman, because it's supposed to be a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go ahead and dive into it.
And they set up so much with this movie too, because I came in thinking that it was going to be like a one-off, like it was going to be like with the Joker. I thought the Joker was going to be a one-off. I thought the Batman was going to be something similar. But you know, the first sign of it being something more of a trilogy was that first scene when Batman got into a fight with the people with the white faces. And right. The person that was playing, he was like the younger brother. He was like the young brother. He didn't want to fight in that first scene. He was scared of the Batman. Everybody else was fighting Batman, but his face was like, he was the one who had his face half painted. He plays Robin in the DC Titans. He will most likely be playing Robin in the upcoming Batman trilogy that we get from this movie. So that's definitely something that I am excited for. He is Tim Drake in the DC Titans show that is on HBO Max right now. So definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, this movie was spectacular, bro. And I felt it was going to be a Joker connection, which we see towards the end of the movie for sure, that Joker is going to be involved later down the line. The fact that people were already having their faces painted like clowns so early in the movie, just terrorizing people and everything, it set it up so perfectly to get that Joker footage at the end and see how he's already had an influence on Gotham before he even gets his own movie. So I thought that was cool the way they put 2 and 2 together with that.
And this was the most well-written Batman movie that I think we've ever gotten, bro. When you talk about the plot twist, the connections between everybody that was involved in this movie, the Rata El Lada, when I was confused about the whole movie when it came to that riddle, bro. Because I was like, the wing rat going to be Batman? I thought it was Batman the whole time.
I thought it was Batman.
And then it ended up being Falcone. I'm just like, it was in front of our faces the whole time, bro. So that riddle killed me, bro. Because I was in the movie really trying to figure out the riddles in 30 seconds. I don't know how this nigga was doing that shit, bro. Because in that one scene where the dude was like, had a timer on him, and the Riddler was asking him questions, and he had to answer in a certain amount of time. It's like,
I would have failed.
Was Batman. Yo, bro, you would have been dead way earlier than that, bro. You would have been dead way earlier than that. I wouldn't have answered any questions, bro. Like, Batman was giving you answers in 10 seconds. I'm like, bro, I don't even understand the question, bro. The riddle. That's just crazy.
And that's what I loved about the movie. They did not downplay the Riddler's humor at the same time, because even Detective James Gordon, like, he was still like, this guy's fucking hilarious. Like, the way he was just giving riddles and shit, it was funny. Like, the first riddle of the movie, what does a liar do when he's dead? He lies still. And like, it's so simple, but it's like, damn, like, how do you come up with that, like Batman, like you said, in less than like 10 seconds? So I just love the way they incorporated very strong and funny riddles in this that had sick humor at the same time. But I like how the Riddler, I loved how he exposed people in the lies that they were telling. And that was one of the biggest themes of the movies, no more lies. You know, when it came to the Wayne family, when it came to the commissioner, when it came to the person there, like, lies were one of the most integral parts of this movie.
Yeah, and I love how this movie was like an actual investigation. Usually when you get a Batman movie, it's just like, it's usually a good plot, a good enough plot to get you into the movie, but it's basically Batman just beating up on a lot of bad guys. And that's what we want to see from Batman. But Batman is supposed to be one of the smartest people in the world and supposed to be a master detective. So for us, for 3 hours, going along with him throughout this journey was something that was different than any other Batman that we've ever gotten, bro. And I love that they showed showed us that this was year 2 for Batman. So they showed us the mistakes from somebody that's young in the game. He's not somebody who's like an older Batman who's wise to all of the Riddler's tricks or the Joker's tricks. He's new to this. So that's why he was still called Vengeance, because he really didn't evolve into Batman until the end of the movie. So the evolution, the developments, the investigation, I think really tied this movie all together, bro.
And maybe it's just because I was comparing it to the Christian Bale version a little too much. My one thing that I did not like about this movie, other than this one thing, I really would give this movie basically a 10 out of 10. I didn't like the lack of technology Robert Pattinson's Batman had to Christian Bale's. Because within the first year or two, when Christian Bale became Batman, I feel like he had a lot more technology. His Batmobile was way better. Like the Batmobile in this movie, it was just a tricked out Mustang. I was like, what the hell? Like, you just took a Mustang and put a raw ass engine in it, and then that was it. But the Batmobile in the Christian Bale one, it was like a real war machine. But we also did not get Lucius Fox in this movie. So maybe maybe until he meets Fox, he has to just do what he can right now. Because Fox was the plug that got Bruce Wayne everything throughout that Dark Knight trilogy. So I'm sure we'll get Fox maybe in the second or third movie or whatever, when Bruce has got like another 2 years or so under his belt of being Batman.
And I feel like a lot of people were trying to downplay the action of this movie. Eggert, I remember you told me your dad was talking shit about the movie because that's what we're so used to with a film like that. With Batman, it's like, oh, he got to be beating up on somebody. But I think it was way more action than I would have anticipated from a detective film. We were getting a fight damn near every other scene. It wasn't against like a main villain, but he was beating somebody ass every other scene. Like. Whether it was somebody from the club or it was somebody that he tried to get past, to get to somebody that he really wanted. He was fighting people throughout this film.
And I think the reason my dad said that was because he wanted to see more saving the day fighting. Like, he wanted to see Batman fight somebody to rescue somebody and this, that, and the third. My dad wanted to see that type of action because when we got out of the movie, he was like, it wasn't enough action for me. I'm like, it was a fight like every 10 minutes. What are you talking about? But he was like, no, like, I wanted to see him like actually save people more and stuff like that. But I had to tell him the same thing. I'm like, Dad, he's in year 2. That's why when the movie started, he said, I'm only in year 2 of what's going on. And majority of Gotham still sees him as just this mass vigilante that nobody wants a part of. You know, nobody is looking for you to protect them until the end of the movie, where we see people really look at him as inspiration.
The only person that trusted him was Commissioner Gordon. Everybody else looked at him like a villain.
I'm about to say 99% of the movie, like, he's the villain still. Like, and people, only Jim Gordon and maybe yeah, that was it. Yeah, Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon was the only person that really looked at him like an ally for real. Oh, and Catwoman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was, she just partnered with him because she was trying to find her girlfriend or whatever. Once she ended up finding that she was dead, it was like, all right, I'm about to go to another state. Like, fuck that nigga. Like, we had good times, but I'm gone. But Selena Kyle definitely did her thing. Zoe Kravitz did her thing in this movie. I know she's going to be back for future films, but I think she did a good job. I don't know. Would I say she was the best Catwoman? I fuck with not Mekhi Phifer. What's that girl? Michelle Pfeiffer. I fuck with her Catwoman in that rendition. But Zoe Kravitz did a hell of a job, though. I don't know who I would give it to.
I feel like she did a good job. I would say,
hey, damn sure ain't Halle Berry.
Yeah. Damn, black people gonna eat you up for that.
Nah, niggas ain't finna eat me up. Niggas know the truth about that movie, bro. Go back and watch that movie in 2022. And I want y'all to run back to this.
I don't think she was the best one. I just know niggas gonna eat you up for that. I would say Michelle Pfeiffer. I agree. She was probably the best one. Yeah.
And going back to your point about the saving the day. So I feel like in a lot of these Batman movies, does he really save the day? Or does he just end up getting bailed out? Because think about it in Batman Begins. What did he do in Batman Begins that saved the day? Or did shit just end up falling his way?
He saved the day, but like you said, it ended up falling his way for him to save the day. So I really didn't know what my dad meant when he said that, because I really had to think. It's like Batman, it's very
He never
few times
saves
that
the
he put that
day.
as
He
saving the
never
day, like-
saves the day. And think about in Dark Knight. He didn't save the day in Dark Knight. He ended up hanging the Joker, but it came down to the people of Gotham. They didn't blow up the tanks like the Joker expected. The people of Gotham saved the city. It wasn't Batman who saved it.
He only really saved the day in the eyes of society in The Dark Knight Rises when he flew that atomic bomb away. Like, in front of everybody, that was the only time he really saved the day, and they built the statue for him at the end of the movie and everything. That was the only time.
That's what I'm saying. He never really saves the day, and that's something I really don't like about Batman, because that's why I didn't really like Dark Knight, and not Dark Knight. I really didn't like Dark Knight Rises, because I'm like, damn, he was getting his ass beat the whole movie. I'm just like, and even in this movie, even though he's in year 2, he was getting outsmarted a lot by the Riddler. And now that I think about Batman, in every movie that he's in, he's getting outwitted and outsmarted. It's like, damn, what is it that we like about this nigga?
But I think that's why I like Batman villains a lot, because they're way more methodical about how they go about stuff. Like, even with the Joker is just purely evil. Like, he doesn't have any true intentions, but I think that plays in how he can outsmart Batman, because he doesn't hold ties to anything. Like, the Joker can literally wake up one day and just want to do some horrific type stuff. And, there's no motive behind it. He just does this because he wants to. I remember Alfred said this in The Dark Knight. He was like, some men just want to watch the world burn. Like, they can't be bribed. They can't be reasoned with. They can't be bought or nothing. So Joker has always been one of those people that I love to hear his reasoning behind things, because at the end of the day, it's just about chaos. And then you got people like the Riddler. They have a motive from something like traumatic childhood with the whole orphan situation, like how he addressed Batman, but he calculated literally throughout his whole how he was going to do this. So it was a whole life plan that he had on why he was able to outsmart Batman the way he did. Because it's not like he just came up with this idea in a matter of a year or two.
And that's a good thing that you bring up about the Riddler. Why did the Riddler go through all this to get back at Batman, bro? I felt like it had to be something deeper than you being scorned when you were 8 years old over some orphanage plan gone wrong. And now 20 years later, you want to get back at the whole city of Gotham. I think it had to be something deeper. I don't think they made it clear in the movie. But you remember the story that they said about it was about the mayor Thomas Wayne, and it was about Falcone. They said that they ended up wanting to get the reporter. They ended up killing the reporter. I think that reporter had to have been his dad, and that's how the Riddler became an orphan. That's what I think happened. The reporter had to have been his dad, bro. It's no way a renewal plan just goes wrong and now you scorn for 20 years. The person that was killed and the people that were involved in the renewal plan, that was your father that was killed in the process of that, bro. And he kind of looked like him too. If you go back and look at the movie, he kind of looked like the Riddler, bro. Like the older Riddler. I'm like, damn, I kind of look like him now. So I think that was
the way he was talking about it. Oh, and by the way, this was my favorite part of the movie, the interrogation scene with the Riddler and Batman when the Riddler finally got caught and he was in prison. That was my favorite scene of the movie. But in that scene, he was talking like he already was an orphan. So that's the only reason I would kind of go against that theory of the reporter being his dad. He was talking like he's been an orphan like his whole life. So that's the only thing I would hold back from that. And he was in the video. Like he was the video that they kept playing of Thomas Wayne at the press conference or whatever. He was one of the kids in the background in the orphanage group. So he was already an orphan.
He was already an orphan. Okay. But damn,
so that's why I say this was a lifelong plan. And he told Batman,
that's what I'm saying.
He told Batman, you're the reason why we worked on this together. And that's why Batman was like, I didn't help you with anything. He was like, yes, you did. Like you helped put all the pieces together. I don't have the brute strength that you have to carry this out. I got the smarts, but I needed you to be able to physically get your way through this to make my plan work. So that's why he needed Batman the way he did.
And I loved that part of the movie because I was confused when he was bringing that up. He was like, bro, we did this together, yada, yada, yada. He was like, yeah, you did everything for me. I honestly did nothing. He's like, you put Falcone in the light. You did this, you did that. I was like, damn, he really finessed you this whole entire movie, bro. That shit was crazy as hell. And moving back on to some character questions, bro, I want to talk about Falcone and Selena's Kyle's relationship. And that switcheroo was fire when they ended up having that conversation between Bruce Wayne and Falcone. When Falcone was telling them that, yeah, your father wanted this reporter dead. And then what did he say? What did he say? Somebody had killed his father. What? He lied to him and said somebody had killed his father, bro. Who did he say killed his father?
Maroney. He said Maroney did. And then that's what led to the Maroney bust that they kept referring to.
Yeah, but then he talked to Alfred a couple of minutes later, and Alfred's like, no, he killed your father because the father didn't want the reporter to get killed. He just wanted him to be quieted down or whatever. And it was like the whole world changed in Bruce Wayne's eyes at that moment. It's like, okay, I can't trust what anybody is saying to me, bro, at this point. So I love that transition with him. And the Selena Kyle point was interesting, bro, because I don't think we see that a lot with that type of switcheroo, but I think it garnered so much emotion from me because it added so much to her character to be involved in such a powerful scene like that when it was her fighting against her father, who was really estranged, really didn't treat her like a daughter at the end of the day. It's like, damn, to see them finally fight and get all that aggression out, that shit was a powerful scene.
And it was another part too. The whole fact of the Waynes and the Arkhams. I did not know. I don't know if this is in the comic books or anything. So excuse me, y'all. I'm usually a little bit more knowledgeable on this stuff. I did not know Bruce Wayne's mom was in Arkham. I never knew that. So the fact that the Riddler exposed all that and said the Waynes and the Arkhams, the founding fathers of Gotham City, it put two and two together with everything for me now. Arkham City, the Arkham Asylum that the Joker is always at. The fact that Bruce Wayne's mom had to be put in the family hospital that they created, the Arkham Asylum. Like, I'm like, bro, this is putting so much together for me. So that's why that was my second favorite scene of the movie, second to the interrogation scene. Finding out the history about the Waynes and the Arkhams, that shit put so much together for me later down the line when we get these upcoming movies.
And that's what I'm saying. When it comes to writing, when it came to plot twists, when it came to reveals that a lot of people just were not expecting, when it came to the Selena Kyle reveal, and that was probably my biggest surprise too when it came to that Martha reveal, because I've never seen that. I didn't know that she was mentally unstable and that somebody was going to end up ratting her out about killing somebody. I knew nothing about that type of backstory. I don't know if they came up with that just for this movie, but I think it added a lot and it tied so much stuff in. And it connected even more things for this movie. So that shit was brilliant, man. And another thing I loved about this film is that they threw so many characters in here, bro. Usually with a Batman film, they'll give you a couple, but they threw in so many. When you talk about they threw in Falcone, they threw in the Penguin, you got the Joker, you got the Riddler, you got so many characters throughout this 3-hour movie. It really felt fulfilling throughout the whole time because you just weren't sitting there going through but the Riddler's riddles the whole time, just waiting for the Joker to figure, or waiting for Batman to figure that out. You still had to keep up with, was the Rata Alada riddle? Or was it Penguin who was the person the whole time? Did Batman do something to get on the Riddler's bad side? Oh, now it's Falcone. We had to look in so many different directions that damn the Riddler was like an underlying plot throughout the whole time, because we're looking at so many other characters who could have been involved in that situation or who could have been the criminal informant. So that shit was brilliant, bro.
And I thought the Penguin would have died in this movie. So the fact that he stayed alive, he's gonna be a big piece moving forward as well. We could get
he's getting his own spinoff.
Oh, he is? Oh shit.
Yeah. Because I was going to bring that up too when we talked about like what's next for Batman, because they talked about it at the end of the movie. Like, it's going to be a power grab for the city, because it was mentioned earlier in the film that Falcone was really the quote unquote mayor of the city. Everybody listened to him and everybody did what he wanted them to do for over 20 years. Now that he's dead, who is the power going to go to? We see that the Joker is around. We see that the Riddler could still be around. We still have the Penguin that could take the mantle. So it's like, it's a lot of people. And I think the Court of Owls is still around with the villain of Talent. And I thought they were going to show up in this film because they kept showing owls on the cards. He kept showing owls. So I'm like, is he involved with the Court of Owls in some way? But I don't think that ended up playing out the way I thought. But I think they could end up showing up in a future movie as well, because they're definitely a situation that I like to dive into.
And I was wondering who else we could get too, because are we gonna go deep into the Batman villain catalog? Are we gonna get a Mr. Freeze? Are we gonna get Poison Ivy? Like who else could get brought into this mixture? So I agree. It's gonna be up for grabs, and they have room to throw in anybody that they want. Are we gonna get a Robin? Maybe by the third one, not the second one. I feel the second one needs to just be Batman by himself again. But could we get a Robin in the third installation? So I don't know. It's a toss up. They can add whoever they want.
Yeah. And moving to another point I wanted to talk about was the comparison of other Batmans in the past, the comparison of other Batmans / Bruce Waynes. So this is how I feel about the whole situation, because I heard a lot of conversations like Robert Pattinson was the best Batman, he was the best Bruce Wayne, and I do not feel that way. I think Robert Pattinson was an excellent Batman. I think he did his thing as Batman. He played the part well, but I don't think he gave off Bruce Wayne vibes. Because when you think about Bruce Wayne, he's a rich playboy. Even in year 2, he's still supposed to be a rich playboy. Hoes is just staying around the house type of dude. He was an emo dude, just stayed in the crib. Like, that's not Bruce Wayne for real. So and I think that's more so of his character because of what we've seen in the past, Twilight and all of that. He just such an emo dude. I don't think Robert Pattinson can give you that playboy type of vibe like a Christian Bale. So I think Christian Bale got him in the Bruce Wayne category. But when it comes to Batmans, I think Robert Pattinson beats him out for the Batmans. And I think in the future movie, I don't think we can decide just yet. I think we can decide at the end of the trilogy. But I think it's a good starting point right now for Robert Pattinson.
I totally agree. I feel like he definitely has potential to pass Christian Bale when it comes to Batman. I would still have Christian Bale with Bruce Wayne to every point that you said. Bruce Wayne doesn't necessarily have to be a friendly person, but he has to have that playboy personality. He has to have that flamboyancy about himself, like I'm the richest guy in the room kind of attitude. Yeah. And we got that a lot with the Dark Knight trilogy. Like I remember him and Harvey Dent, they were having a conversation like, I'm gonna put these two tables together. Harvey Dent was like, I don't think you could do that. He was like, "Oh, they can. I own the place. Like, I got this." Like,
yeah,
like, and real subtle flexes with Bruce Wayne. But I was interested in how they did this Robert Pattinson Bruce Wayne, because this was unlike any Bruce Wayne we've ever seen. Very dark, letting the Batman identity consume him before he even really grows into it for real. That's something we don't normally see. So that's why I was intrigued with it, because I'm like, damn. When you really think about it, is it really that far off to say that this type of personality can't consume you if this is what you're doing every night? Because you see, he was writing in a diary all the time, everything that happened on top of the contact lenses that he had as recording cameras. And he said it's taken over his life to where he's turned into a bat, a nocturnal animal. He never went out in the day unless it was absolutely necessary. And we've never seen that with Bruce Wayne before. All we see is Bruce Wayne knows how to perfectly balance being a playboy and going out and kicking people's ass at night. This Batman showed you what if it was the other way around? What if it was Bruce Wayne doesn't know how to be himself because he's trying to be Batman so much? So I love the way they went about that angle. But just off of the pure character of Bruce Wayne, I will say Christian Bale has him beat.
But that's the thing about Batman. I think the Christian Bale Batman and the Pattinson's Batman have two different backstories. I think the Christian Bale Batman, it kind of came from a couple of different places, because it came from the beginning of his life when he was scared of bats. So that was one of his biggest fears. Then he ends up pairing up with Ra's al Ghul, and then fully transitions into this Batman figure once he gets back to Gotham. But I felt like we skipped over that entire thing, and we just see him completely consumed in this movie by being Batman already. It felt like it was a plan from his teenage years of being a vigilante. Like, that was his plan. We didn't see a transition into that. Like, we don't know if bat was his fear. We don't know why he's into bats or anything like that. Maybe bats are just a nocturnal animal, and that's what he wanted to become as a vigilante in the night. So I think they have two different backstories. So I could see your point.
And just to touch on the interrogation scene again, the funniest part of the movie was when he thought the Riddler knew who he was. When he thought it was going to be the end of Batman and he was going to expose him for being Bruce Wayne, and the Riddler never figured out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, that was hilarious, bro.
That
Because
confused the hell out of me, bro. He kept saying
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne this whole time. I was like, oh, so he knows, obviously.
But I think he was going on a monologue just about how he envied Bruce Wayne, because you see, like, he kept talking shit about Bruce Wayne the whole time. It's like a billionaire orphan compared to the actual real orphans who are struggling out here. I think he just kept saying Bruce Wayne because it was eating him alive that he didn't get him from what he thought. Because he told Batman, he was like, we got everybody but Bruce Wayne. And that, I think that's why he kept saying his name over and over, because Bruce was standing there like, oh shit, like he knows who I am. And then when he realized he didn't, the Riddler kept talking shit. He was like, oh, you really not as smart as I thought you were. I thought I gave you way too much credit for being a detective, blah, blah, blah. When the whole time you didn't even figure out the biggest clue that you thought either. So I thought it was cool that they both kind of got each other. Batman didn't know the true plan of the Riddler the whole time, and the Riddler never did figure out who Batman was like he thought he was going to.
I think he ended up finding out who he was as a kid. I think he ended up going through some pictures and seeing like how close they were at a young age. It was like that one picture where the Riddler was sitting right next to like the Wayne family or whatever. And I think he knew that he was around that kid at a young age. So I think he knew him at a young age, but he didn't care about him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he knew him, because it's like completely two different societies. Even though both of them eventually became orphans, one is obviously rich and one is going through the orphanage system, going through child protective services and all that bullshit. So it's definitely a difference. So the Riddler was definitely right on that point. Me and you being an orphan is just not the same, bro. It's really not. And I don't like how he was trying to diss Alfred this whole movie, like Alfred ain't that nigga daddy. That's one thing I hate. I love the relationship between Alfred, how they usually, it's not a father and son relationship, but it kind of is, but it's more so like a big brother, little brother type of thing. It's like, okay, bro, we understand each other. We're on the same page. We're moving forward, but it's love there. You feel what I'm saying? It felt like with Robert Pattinson, it's like, damn, they had tension and beef. Like he didn't want to tell Alfred anything about what he was doing. Alfred just had to figure out shit on his own. Like he wasn't getting notified about anything. Alfred ended up getting almost killed in this movie. And that's when we finally see like the love between them. But it's like, damn, you was beefing with this nigga. It felt like the whole movie saying you ain't my dad and all that shit. I'm like, damn, okay.
But I think that's going to make their relationship grow stronger. And we're going to see Andy Serkis, his Alfred, he's going to become the Alfred that we know, being embraced by Bruce. Bruce actually going to him for guidance a lot of times, because Christian Bale's Batman would do that a lot. You know, he'd be like, Alfred, what would you have me do? Or Alfred, if it was you, what would you do? And I think Robert Pattinson, his Bruce Wayne is going to get into that mode eventually of figuring out, like, Alfred, what would you have me do? What's the right decision? Do you know anything from your past that's similar to this? Because Alfred was helping him the whole movie, even though Bruce was resenting him the whole time. If it wasn't for Alfred, Bruce wouldn't have deciphered that hieroglyphics the way Alfred was doing.
And he wouldn't have gone back after Falcone, because he would have just accepted the lie of Falcone and just said, oh, my dad died by the Maroni and I'm going to just continue to go with that lie. Like Alfred told that nigga the truth after 20 years or so. He finally told him the truth, but he told him the truth and told him what was up. So that was an important scene to actually move the storyline along with this movie. So Alfred did play his part for sure. And what else, bro? I already talked about the power grab, I
love the whole aspect of him figuring out he has to be Hope, because that was something in the Dark Knight trilogy that was pressed the whole time. Batman knew from the get-go, like, I have to be Hope for these people. And in this Batman, it was vengeance. That's what people were calling him. That's what one of the followers of the Riddler, when everybody came in the stadium and they all had the Riddler costume on or whatever, and one of them got unmasked and he was like, I'm vengeance. Batman peeped. He was like, bro, I can't keep saying that. I can't keep being that, because it's going to give other people and villains the idea that I could be vengeance too in my own way. So I love the fact that once he saved everybody, once he saved the new mayor elect and all the kids and everything, he decided, I have to be Hope. I can't just be vengeance anymore, because that can get turned into the wrong thing. So I love the fact that he finally realized that at the end of this one. That's why I feel like the next Batman, he's going to be a lot more mature. He's going to be a lot more mentally prepared on how to save people, how to go about defeating villains. So I love that character change for him.
Yeah, bro. And I don't know what they're gonna do for the next movie. Obviously, we got the Joker and Riddler hint at the end, and even in the post credit scene, we got the little like the goodbye and Riddler like text pop up on the screen. So Riddler could hockey already be out of jail with that after seeing that post credit scene. He could honestly already be out of jail, but I don't know if he's gonna be the next main villain that we get. So who do you think will be the next villain we get in the second Batman movie?
It would have to be the Joker. Like I feel that was them putting him at the end of the movie, like in the cell, becoming friends with the Riddler and whatnot. Joker is going to be one of the main people we see. Well, I doubt we'll get as much Penguin as we got with this one because we got so much. But Penguin will show up a little bit. The Owls, like you said, they could make a comeback into this series or whatever. But I really
think Ra's al Ghul would be somebody who would be dope in this because we don't know anything about his past. So what if his past ends up haunting him and you know what I'm saying, Ra's al Ghul comes back? Because what was Ra's al Ghul's thing? Why was he fighting Batman? It was something.
He wanted to take over Gotham too. He wanted
to take over Gotham. So what? Oh, it's a power grab. So with Gotham being is such a open state right now, Ra's al Ghul can end up coming back and want to take over Gotham for himself. It is not going to be Batman. So that's a good reason because we don't know if he had any training with Ra's al Ghul. They never really talked about that a lot. I don't really think they did.
They didn't show anything about how he got trained. We just know he's.
But they didn't even talk about it either. They didn't even talk about any past training. So I'm like, I don't even know if he was working out with him and how he became this person with all the skills, the fighting.
I don't know if he was just working out by himself. I don't know if he got trained by Ra's al Ghul. The movie literally started off, he just kicking people ass. Like, we don't know how he got this training or anything.
So I would like it if Ra's al Ghul come back.
He's rich though. He's Bruce Wayne. Like I think that's why we don't question it. It's like he's Bruce Wayne. I'm pretty sure we'll know eventually how he got this training.
Yeah, but I would like to see talent in the Court of Owls. I don't think we've ever seen them in live action. We've seen them in cartoons before. Dope characters. I would love to see them back again. But I agree with you. But I don't think it will be just one villain. I like what they did with this first one, where it was multiple that kept your attention, but it was like always the main villain, like as like the underlying point the whole time. I think the Joker will be the underlying point, but it's other villains that you will have to be pay attention to because it's the power grab in Gotham, bro. Everybody is going to try to go after it. And with this Penguin spinoff that they're doing on HBO Max, Penguin could already be gathering things up and getting things in order for him to take over Gotham. So by the next movie, Penguin could be the leader of this shit.
Yeah, I think the Joker will be the leader or the underlying. You were saying.
Yeah, and I think that's all the points I made, bro.
Yeah, this a 10 out of 10 for me. 10 out of 10.
This was a 10 out of 10, bro. This was damn. Would you put it over Dark Knight?
I don't know, bro. Dark Knight is one of the best movies of all time, period. Like, damn. Would I put it over the Dark Knight? I would say Dark Knight is 1A, the Batman is 1B.
It's not far off, bro. And I cannot be mad at I can't be mad at anybody who says this movie was better than the Dark Knight, because when you just think about the story and the true essence of Batman with the detective storyline and the other how well written it was as well, it's like, oh man, this one might have it for me, honestly.
Both of them. Here's why I love both of them. And I will make this the second best Batman of all time. Like, the Dark Knight was the best, and then this Batman movie is the second best of all time. And I think I can't complain whichever one you have at number one, because in both movies, they both lost. Like, Batman lost in the Dark Knight. He had to run off and basically become the villain at the end of the Dark Knight. And in this one, Batman saved some lives, but the city of Gotham is basically underwater. He did not stop the Riddler from what he planned on doing. So they both lost. They both had major character development on how to move forward. And they both had multiple villains. In The Dark Knight, you had Two-Face, Harvey Dent, and you had the Joker. In this Batman, you got the Penguin, you got Falcone, you got the Riddler. So you got multiple villains with each one. Both Batmans lost at the end of the movie, and there was major character development throughout the whole movie. So I gotta have one A and one B.
And that's the funniest thing about the end of the movie, that the city is underwater. How would the city get back to its original state? Like, that junk is completely underwater, even the buildings. Like, so how are we gonna get back to regular Gotham? It kind of reminds me of Reminisce. You remember when Reminisce, they was like just walking in water the whole time? It was like a weird scene. I think I can be the same thing, bro. Especially during this power grab, it's gonna be like a Gotham in straight mayhem, bro. Nothing is going to get repaired. Like, the police are just going to be focused on capturing all of these villains that are trying to take over right now. But it's just going to be like a scummy, rat infested city, bro. Like, and even water on the ground, all that bullshit.
We didn't get a Wayne Manor in this movie. I just noticed that Wayne was still staying in the Wayne Tower. He didn't live off in the family home that he was raised in or whatever. So I feel like we have to get that, because with the city being underwater, that means Wayne Tower is underwater too, at least partially.
Didn't one of those signs say Wayne Manor when he walked into it?
It was the tower. It was the tower in Gotham. Like, the tower that said Wayne across it, that was the tower in the middle of Gotham.
But he was actually staying in a house. He wasn't staying in a tower. The tower is the actual business. The tower is the business.
I could have sworn he was staying like in the penthouse or something like that. I could be wrong.
That's why I think he was staying in Wayne Manor. They were staying in a house. They weren't staying in a tower, like, because the tower is like for the business. It's not for him to actually stay in. So I think there was a Wayne Manor.
They were staying in the tower, bro. They were, because when Alfred was opening the mail and stuff, Bruce was driving home. Like, he drove to the tower first. He didn't drive to Wayne Manor. He was driving to the tower, because remember the Riddler wrote that message for the Batman, but he wanted it to be in Bruce Wayne's possession. So he sent it to wherever Bruce Wayne lived. So if he sent it to where Bruce Wayne lived and Alfred opened it in the top of the tower, I'm assuming he stayed in Wayne Tower still.
I don't know. You could be right on that one. I truly do not know.
I don't know. I feel like since we didn't get that, cameo shot of Wayne Manor, him pulling up to the house or whatever, I assume he ain't staying there.
Okay. That would make sense. And like you said, it's only year 2, so that could possibly grow into that, get that built or something. But Wayne Manor is usually like an old building, though. Like, that shit should already be built.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we ain't get no cameo of it at all.
That's interesting. But do you think this will end up being movie of the year, bro? Do you think it will stand the test of time over all of the good movies that we got coming out, bro? It's some great movies.
It has potential. This and Multiverse of Madness are the 2 movies I have for movie of the year right now.
Yeah, that they gotta be. If they get past May and are still number 1, this movie gonna get all the awards, bro. This movie's gonna get all the awards. Commissioner Gordon, Jeffrey Wright's character finna get the awards. Selena Kyle, it's finna go crazy. But I think Doctor Strange, bro. I think Doctor Strange is gonna be number 1 by the end.
Yeah. What we X-Men and shit, Multiverse of Madness might win it, but I think that'll be the only thing that keeps the Batman from being movie of the year, is the fact we're going to get so much with Multiverse of Madness. We still don't know everybody we might see in this movie. So it's going to be one of the movies that it's like, damn, bro, we getting too many niggas in here to be movie of the year.
Damn, that shit crazy. But anything else, bro?
Nah, that's it.
All right, bro, you can hit it with the social media.
You can hit us up on Twitter at QE Podcast 1. You can hit us up on Instagram at QANDE Podcast. You can follow and like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube, Q&E Podcast. And our Gmail is QANDEpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, and subscribe to all of our podcast platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Definitely subscribe to our Q&E media page, QANDEmedia.com. And our Instagram page is QANDE Media. And our Twitter page is QE Media. We appreciate you guys for listening. And we out. Peace.